That's true. That's true. Anyway, we've talked about football. Today is a very cool thing.
What's that?
The Winter Classic.
Oh, the Winter Classic,
at Citi Field at 1:00. Rangers and Sabres. Somehow the Sabres are being considered the home team, which makes no sense.
Citi Field. They're the New York team.
Yeah.
Minnesota Rangers, but pretty sure it's going to be cold enough to make ice.
Oh, I'm pretty sure. I wanted to see the Islanders one. It wasn't a Winter Classic. It was an outdoor game a couple of years ago. But the tickets were so.
And it was a Winter Classic. The only Winter Classics are out. They played more than one in the season.
Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking.
That's what it was. Yeah, the Islanders played the Rangers at Yankee Stadium.
Oh, that's something.
Yeah, that was a Winter Classic.
But that was such a rip-off ticket-wise. I mean,
they charge. I mean, the NHL turns it into an event, and part of being at an event is they charge more money for it. People want. I mean, the weird thing is people want to go to this thing.
Oh, sure.
And I would understand that if it was 35 degrees or so, where you wouldn't be taking your physical health into or putting it in jeopardy. But I have absolutely no desire to go out there and sit in a stadium, even if it's 1:00. It's going to be what, about 16 degrees, 17 degrees?
If that.
That's what we're talking about. I have no desire to be outside for 3-4 hours watching a hockey game if it's that cold.
And the bad part is that the sun's going to hit part of Citi Field at 1:00,
and not all of it.
And the other part is going to be in the shade, and people will be freezing in the shade. The people in the sun are going to be a lot better.
They'll still be freezing.
They'll
in the sun.
They'll still be freezing, but it won't be the same as the people in the shade.
It'll be a few degrees warmer anyway than the poor suckers who were sitting in the shade.
One year I went to an opening day at Shea Stadium, and it was a sunny day, and we sat in the shade though up in the upper deck.
People are going to be surprised. I've heard this story before.
And
go ahead.
We were freezing up there. Then
I know.
Then we moved to another part of the sitting down where the sun was, and it wasn't that bad.
Didn't somebody go buy a sweatshirt or something?
That was Ron Willie. Ron Willie bought a jacket, a Mets jacket.
There you go.
He felt he needed to stay.
It was cold,
but it was freezing in the upper nosebleeds, and down below where the sun was, it was really nice. So that is something.
That's what happens when the sun is out and it's not 16 degrees.
Yeah, so
the sun actually can make a difference.
But I love the whole idea of the Winter Classic. I think the NHL finally gets something right with their history. Players playing on ponds, frozen ponds up in Canada and stuff like that.
Shinny, they call it.
Yeah, so I really I wish they did more of this. Play somewhere else besides their home, arena like this.
Yeah. See, here we are. I'm looking at my phone right now at the weather. 10 degrees right now. All right.
Right.
We have it says a high of 19 today and a low of 13, which obviously it's not possible because it's 10. So, real feel minus 16. No, you're not getting me outside.
Well,
not for 3-4
but
hours.
If we all had tickets, the guys.
If I had bought them a while ago, then I'd probably go.
But if it was
like, it
was the regular crew we went to an Islander game with.
I'd be asking around saying, "Hey, anybody want to buy my ticket?"
Nah, you come with it. You bring your blanket. You bring a blanket.
I just put on a couple of sweaters and pair of long johns, and
you have to bring a blanket.
A couple pairs of socks.
You have to bring like one of those horse blankets.
I got my big down coat. That's better than any blanket. I can tell you that.
Blanket you need. It helps. It keeps the coldness out.
Yeah.
So I'll be watching that in between the Odd Couple and the Honeymooners.
Odd Couple marathon.
So that's a very cool thing.
Love the Odd Couple.
No, they showed too many early episodes, too many first season episodes, and Channel 55 has to change the bumpers. By the way,
I saw the late one. I saw Bobby Riggs one last night.
Yeah, they have to. I mean, they're showing the same. Why did Gary Marshall pick November 13th?
Oh yeah, I know all the answers. So I've seen all those questions.
These go back like 5 or 6 years since they've been doing this.
Yeah.
Change some questions.
They need to either update the questions or just eliminate them, because Odd Couple fans, it's not like somebody's missed it. If you're an Odd Couple fan and you have been for decades,
right,
then you've seen all of this stuff already. And when they come around with these questions, it's like, it's the same questions.
And the funny thing is, Channel 55 doesn't show the Odd Couple for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
and then they show 30 episodes.
The one day they show
1 episode, 30 episodes.
Started last night.
And we know the honeymoon has been on Channel 11 literally since before we were born.
Yes.
And they're still on there. Okay, brother, let's talk end of the year baseball. There's so much to talk about with the Yankees. I mean, here's a team that was one game away from getting into the World Series. Then they get rid of their manager because I often wondered if they had won the World Series, would they have kept him? Because it sounded like they wanted to get rid of him before the playoffs started.
I think it would have been up for debate, and I think I was putting some notes together for the show for this week, and this was something I did a few days ago, and I just was starting to throw it together. I was like, let's think about doing maybe like a look back at 2017, and then as I was doing more notes. Like I said earlier, I kind of shrunk that segment because there was so much other relevant subjects to discuss for today. But I'll throw these out at you because I was just kind of thinking out loud or putting stuff down on paper. But I figured, all right, like let's do it in the context of like best team, worst team, best player, worst player, best moment, worst moment. It's kind of stuff like that. And I think best team for the New York area, I think the only team that you can really talk about is the Yankees. And I know that pains you, brother, but...
No, whoa. As much as I'm turned off by Yankee fans' arrogance...
What arrogance? Stop.
Yeah. Oh, we're the Yankees. We're always great. And if we're not, we cry like... So
there he goes with the ridiculous noise sound effects.
But Yankee fans do. Oh, we need a backup all-star second baseman because we don't have any right now.
They don't have a second baseman right now, so a backup all-star is ridiculous.
Well, maybe they get Robinson Cano back. I've been waiting for him to return, by the way.
That was somebody told me about that.
Our cousin, Kevin, told me.
Oh, that's right. Kevin told me about that. And it made sense.
I know.
But
I'm surprised.
It hasn't happened.
I'm surprised it hasn't happened. I've been waiting since he went to Seattle for him to return. Not because
it only made sense because they'd be getting rid of Jacoby Ellsbury. But the other part of that is they would have to inherit so much contract.
Well,
and I really wouldn't like that. I would like it for this year and next year, but the rest of it, there's still another 5 years on that contract after that.
But would he help the Yankees? That's the thing.
This year, absolutely.
Well, then
he would help the Yankees immensely.
And you go for it.
But the other bonus of that is you get rid of Jacoby Ellsbury's contract, which is an albatross, but it's almost like you're trading one albatross for another because Robinson Cano, I don't know how many years he's got left on that contract, but it's probably at least 5 or 6. He's been out of New York for several years now. But you're looking at picking up another albatross of a contract because by the time Cano is, let's say, 37 or so, what's he going to do? There's not a lot of productive second basemen who are that age.
No.
That's a position it's built for younger players. And Cano certainly is I don't want to say he's Hall of Fame caliber yet, but as far as second basemen go, he's an elite second baseman. He's one of the best in the game. But at what point does he fall off? And then are the Yankees on the hook for $30 million a year for the last, let's say, 4 years of a contract that they can't get rid of this guy? So now you're in a situation where it's Cano instead of Ellsbury. And like I said, you're kicking the can down the road, kind of. But Ellsbury's has no role on this year's Yankees team. He's from the Pacific Northwest, so the trade makes sense. But and he has a no trade clause, so that obviously would be a team that Ellsbury would say, yeah, I'll go there because that's home for him. But again, it's kind of kicking the can down the road. So from a short term standpoint, I would love the deal, but from a long term standpoint, I'd rather almost suck up Ellsbury's contract and say, all right, you know what, that money's spent and we can't do anything about it. So why not just unload Ellsbury? Pay somebody $50 million of the 60-something that's left on the contract and just give them away, basically. I mean, that's what the Yankees did with Chase Headley is they gave him to San Diego for Jabari Blash because they wanted to unload $13 million in salary because they're trying like hell to get under that $197 million luxury tax so they can really be a player in free agency next year without having to deal with the consequences of the tax hit that they keep taking year after year.
Yeah, well, That is a problem. Yeah, I wish they wouldn't have the player tax like that. I think it's baseball. They make enough money.
Well,
let them spend it.
That was totally put into place for smaller market teams, and the smaller market teams certainly have taken advantage of it because the Yankees are one of the few teams that actually pay into it, and they've been paying millions into it, and you have teams like the Washington Nationals, for example, who use that money and wind up getting players and signing players and wind up using that money to beat the Yankees. So,
or a team like the Mets who refuse to spend any money.
Well, that's the way the Mets are run. So I can't do anything about that.
So I mean, that's unfortunate. Met fans have just been really upset with the Wilpon family and what they haven't been doing for their team.
Well, that's why, again, going back to my notes here, when I said worst team, I listed the Giants first because the Giants this season was a complete disaster.
The New York Football Giants.
New York Football Giants, of course. And honorable mention goes to the Mets on that category because their season was an abject failure.
I agree.
And there was so much promise going to the season, and you had the pitching staff was supposed to be the key to the season. So many of those guys got hurt.
Yep.
And everything just fell apart. Terry Collins winds up losing his job. I still think that the new manager that the Mets have hired, I think he's going to be outstanding. I really do. And it's a situation that I can't remember his first name. Callaway, Mickey Callaway. Thank you, brother. But I really do think that's a good hire for the Mets, and I really think it's actually the best hire they could have made. Because no
one knows much about this guy.
Well, but when I saw what the Yankees went through with the protracted amount of time that it took to finally settle on Aaron Boone, I first of all, I think that Callaway probably would have been the Yankees' choice if they would have gone about their business earlier, and I just think that that's a great fit for the Mets, given their pitching staff,
right?
And given what that guy brings to the table as far as pitching. So I think the Mets really made the right move there instead of going with somebody recycling a manager who had, maybe even like a Girardi. I don't know that Girardi would have been the best fit for the Mets.
We talked about Girardi the couple of days before he got let go, and we were talking about how he's a free agent, and I had said, and I think you agreed that maybe the Mets should go after him as a manager.
I think it was certainly would have been an option.
But we all thought that the Yankees were going to sign him, and they never did. And they actually, like I mentioned
just based
before,
on the success.
Yeah, I mean, he has had success as a manager. So, right. Do you blame him for the success? I mean, that's the question.
With the Yankees, it's hard to blame any manager for success, only because the payroll is so much, and they dedicate so many resources to winning.
I also think that Brian Cashman sometimes gets a pass on certain things. And
I don't understand what you mean.
In the sense that
because I think he's already done a great job in the offseason.
He gets the media likes Cashman. Let's put it that way.
Not all the time.
Yes,
not all the time.
They do. They like him. So
they like him because A, he does a good job, and B, for the most part, he's available.
That's true.
And he's cooperative. So the media likes people like that who aren't trying to hide, who do their jobs well. So that's why. But I don't understand what you say when you say he gets a pass.
I don't say I think he gets a pass better than other people. Anyway, quickly, we're running out of time. Best player, according to you, is Aaron
Judge. Got to be.
Rookie of the year, 52 home runs. 100 runs scored.
More than 100 RBIs, runs scored, and walks, which was which only a couple players in history have done. So,
and of course,
legendary season. So second place in that was John Tavares, by the way,
which I agree with 100%. And
most underrated athlete in pro sports.
I think the Islanders' new ownership knows they have to re-sign him, and I also think that he wants to stay around. From what
everything he says indicates that.
Now. So hopefully he does stay around because,
if the Islanders don't have John Tavares, the Islanders are a floundering organization. They need him. They need him for that new building.
Yes, they do. But it's going to be 3 years till they get there at least. So
sign him to a 6-year deal. I have no problem with that.
Anyway, worst player Noah Syndergaard.
A lot of Mets.
Eli Apple. How can you have David Wright there?
What did David Wright do?
That's how you can't have him there.
He is a drain on the Mets. I